HOA Karen band Grandma's old radio didn't know we're both former SEALs. The community center smelled of old wood and fresh coffee, a cozy refuge where neighbors swapped stories and laughed over shared memories. But today the air crackled with tension, like a storm about to break. Karen, the HOA's self-appointed enforcer, stood at the front, her arms crossed, her voice slicing through the chatter like a knife. That ancient radio has got to go. I leaned back in my chair, my calloused fingers tapping the table. At 35, I'd seen worse than Karen's tantrums, desserts, firefights, nights where survival hinged on a single breath, retired from the SEALs. I'd moved to this quiet suburb for peace, not to deal with a woman who treated her clipboard like a scepter. Across the room, Grandma Ellie, 68 and tougher than most men I'd served with, clutched her vintage radio, its mahogany case gleaming under the fluorescent lights. That radio wasn't just an antique, it was her father's, a relic from World War II, crackling with big band tunes and memories of a man who never came home. Karen's latest crusade was modernizing the community center. No clutter, she'd declared, pointing at Ellie's radio like it was a pile of trash. It's outdated, noisy, and frankly, an eyesore, she snapped, her perfectly manicured nails tapping her phone as she cited some obscure HOA rule. The room murmured, half in fear, half in frustration. Karen had a knack for making people shrink, her voice a weapon honed by years of petty power plays. Ellie didn't flinch. "This radio stays," she said, her voice low but steady, like the calm before a detonation. Her eyes sharp as ever, locked onto Karen's. I knew that look. I'd seen it in briefing rooms before missions, in teammates who'd run through hell and come out standing. Ellie wasn't just any grandma. She'd been a SEAL too. One of the first women to break that barrier in an experimental program decades ago. Most folks here thought she was just a sweet old lady who baked cookies. They didn't know she could still disarm a man in 3 seconds flat. Karen scoffed, oblivious. "Rules are rules. Eleanor, if you can't follow them, maybe you don't belong here." The room gasped. I felt my jaw tighten. Ellie's hands trembled not from fear, but from rage. That radio was her tether to a past Karen couldn't begin to understand. I stood, my chair scraping the floor, but Ellie shot me a glance. "Not yet." The next week, Karen doubled down. Notices appeared on every door. Non-compliant items will be removed. She'd taken to patrolling the center with a notebook, jotting down violations like a dictator on a power trip. Ellie kept the radio playing softly, defiantly, its static lace jazz filling the room during our weekly veterans meetup. Neighbors whispered their support, but no one dared challenge Karen outright. She'd already gotten Mr. Thompson's old war medals banned from display, claiming they clashed with the aesthetic. Then came the twist no one saw coming. At the next meeting, a new face showed up: Marcus, a wiry teenager with a skateboard under his arm and a glint in his eye. He was Ellie's great-nephew, visiting from out of town, and he'd heard about Karen's reign of terror. Marcus wasn't just any kid, he was a tech prodigy, the kind who could hack a smart TV in his sleep. "Let me handle this," he whispered to Ellie, a grin spreading across his face. I raised an eyebrow but stayed quiet. Ellie nodded, trusting him. Marcus started small, slipping into the community center's Wi-Fi system. By the next day, Karen's precious HOA announcement board, her digital shrine of rules, was glitching, posting memes about tyrannical Karens instead of her usual decrees. The neighborhood group chat buzzed with laughter, but Karen was livid. She stormed into the center, accusing everyone of sabotage. "This is vandalism," she shrieked, her face red as she pointed at Ellie. "You and your ancient junk are behind this." Ellie just smiled, tuning the radio to a swing tune. "Don't know what you're talking about." Karen. The tension built like a pressure cooker. Karen's demands grew louder, her rules stricter. She banned music outright, claiming it disturbed the peace. She even tried to confiscate the radio herself, marching up to Ellie during a coffee morning and reaching for it. That's when I stepped in, my voice calm but edged with steel. "Touch that radio, Karen, and you'll regret it." She froze, her eyes narrowing. Are you threatening me? No, I said, leaning closer. I'm promising you. The room went silent. Karen backed off, but I could see the gears turning. She wasn't done. She never was. The breaking point came at the annual community fair. Ellie had set up a small booth, her radio playing softly, sharing stories of her father's war days with anyone who'd listen. Kids gathered around, mesmerized by the crackling tunes and her tales of courage. I was nearby, helping with the grill, keeping an eye on things. Then Karen arrived, flanked by two HOA board members, holding a megaphone. This event is for approved displays, only, she bellowed. That radio is a violation, and I'm shutting this down. Before anyone could react, she grabbed the radio from Ellie's table and hurled it to the ground. The mahogany splintered, tubes shattered, and the music cut off with a sickening crunch. The crowd froze. Ellie's face went pale, her hands balling into fists. I felt my blood boil. Years of discipline barely holding me back. You've gone too far, Ellie said, her voice a low growl. Karen smirked. It's just a thing. Eleanor, get over it. That's when Marcus stepped out from the crowd, phone in hand. Oh, Karen, he said, his voice dripping with mock pity. You really shouldn't have done that. He tapped his screen, and the community center's projector flickered to life. A video played security footage from the center, crystal clear, showing Karen sneaking in the night before, tampering with the radio's wiring to make it malfunction as proof it was dangerous. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Karen's face drained of color. You can't do this, she stammered. That's private property. Funny you mentioned property, I said, stepping forward. That radio was a family heirloom. You destroyed it, and you didn't know who you were messing with. I pulled out my old Seal ID, the faded emblem glinting in the sunlight. Ellie did the same, her own ID worn but proud. The crowd murmured, eyes wide. Karen's mouth opened, but no words came out. The fallout was swift. The HOA board, humiliated by the video, held an emergency meeting. Karen's reign was over, her rules overturned, her authority stripped. The community rallied to replace Ellie's radio, raising funds for a restoration expert to piece together what was left. Marcus became a local hero, his tech skills the talk of the neighborhood. Ellie and I shared a quiet moment later, her hand on my shoulder. We've faced worse, she said, a faint smile breaking through. But the real justice came at the next community meeting. Karen showed up, head down, expecting to slink back into the shadows. Instead, the room turned on her, not with anger, but with questions. Why'd you do it? Karen, one neighbor asked. What's so wrong with the radio? Another pressed. She had no answers, just excuses that crumbled under scrutiny. As the meeting ended, Ellie stood, her voice clear. We all have our battles. Some of us fight for what matters, like family, memory, community. Others, she glanced at Karen, they just fight to control. The room erupted in applause. Karen left, her head bowed, her power gone. The radio, or what was left of it, sat on a new display in the center, a symbol of resilience. What do you think? Was Karen just enforcing rules? Or did she cross a line? Should we forgive her, or let her face the consequences? Share your thoughts below.